Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing how to invest in real estate without using any of your own money. Now, this is pretty common to those that do this for a living, but many people think that you need tons of money to actually invest in real estate, which isn't the case. Yeah, you need tons of money, but you don't need tons of your own money to invest in real estate. So today we're going to discuss different ways to go about doing that. The first one is basically, it's one of the most common ways I'd say on how people get into real estate investment without using much of their own money. Now when I say using with no money, you're going to use a little bit of money, but when we're talking real estate, we're talking maybe $1,000 or $2,000, and that's about it. Today's video is just going to be pretty general on how to do that. I do have another video that's coming out after this that will give you specific examples onto one that I'm doing currently. So how you do that is you want to buy a house that needs to be fixed up. So you don't want to just buy a house to rent out because you're going to need a down payment for that. So the best way to do that is buy a house that needs to be fixed up. We're talking about a decent amount of fixing up. It doesn't have to be a full-on reconstruction of a house. Just gonna be a simple home renovation. Get the dog running around. So you want to do that. That way that's where your profit comes from. From the growth value of the house. So what you want to do is you want to buy a house with hard money that needs to be fixed up. So hard money. There's a whole other video on what hard money is. You can check that out. It's on my channel. But just to give you a brief overview of what that is, basically using a private lender to give you money. That way you could go ahead and just buy real estate. But they usually charge a higher interest rate. They're usually shorter terms, sometimes 6 months to a year. Maybe 1 or 2 years. But that's about it. And typically you only pay interest-only payments each month until the end of the term, and then the entire loan amount is due. So how you want to do that is use the hard money, buy the house with the hard money, fix it up, and then once it's done being fixed up, you're going to rent it out and refinance it. Now typically you need to wait 6 months after you purchase the house to be able to refinance it. But that doesn't mean you can't have rent before 6 months. Typically, if you plan out your home renovation properly, you could pretty much renovate the house in maybe 2 to 4 months, depending on the level and scale of renovations that you are doing. So then you're thinking, well, how do I make all these monthly payments? Well, in the hard money loan is built that part of the loan is your construction costs, your repair costs to the house. So not only do they give you money to purchase the house, pay for your closing costs to purchase the house, like transfer tax, attorney's fees, title insurance, and all that stuff, they also will give you money. Now all these numbers you obviously set up ahead of time before you actually purchase the house, but part of the loan will be renovation costs. And you will get access to these renovation funds as you make progress on the house. Now depending on your level of ability to get things done in a timely manner, you may be able to get funds before your first payments even due. And that's the goal here. That's what you want to do. If your goal is to not have any money out of pocket to purchase this house and then to renovate the house, what you want to do is you want to have your first level of renovations done before the first month's payment is due. Now it's really not that hard to do. I've done it many times. You just got to plan it ahead of time. Because when you purchase the house, it's going to take 30 to 45 days pending before you actually settle on the property. So during that time frame, you're buying this house. Well, with hard money, it's not going to take 45 days. It's going to take between 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So you have 2 to 4 weeks basically to plan out your renovations. And most people will allow you still access to the house. You can't actually do anything to the house, but you can still go in, plan some things, have your contractors get measurements. If you're doing the work, you can get your measurements. You can plan everything out. So that way, the day you purchase a house, you can start work, or the day after you purchase a house, you can start work. That way, there's not much delay, and you can get to your first level of renovations, get access to your first level of funds. So that's how I do it. That way, you have before your interest payment is due, I have access to the construction cost funds, and I keep a part of that aside. Always, I mean, you should always have other funds in reserve, and I do keep that, but I try not to touch them as best as I can, and it's worked out perfectly so far. I mean, I haven't had any issues where I needed to access those reserve funds. But obviously, when you do any kind of real estate investment, you should always have reserve funds, but they should be reserve funds and not part of what you're using to actually do the renovations on the properties. So you get your first construction funds, then you have money for your first for your first interest payment. And typically you have 2 to 3 levels of renovations, to get all the funds. So you do the same thing by the second month. You want to get to your second level of renovations. That way you have even more construction funds to make your second month's payment. Now, when you're coming towards your third and fourth payment due, you might still have money left over from the first and second construction funds if you planned everything out properly. But which you can, if your intention is to keep this house and rent it, which, like I said, you need 6 months before you can refinance it into a 30-year mortgage or a longer-term mortgage with a lower interest rate, of course, and therefore a lower payment. But what you can do is you could still have it rented within the 6 months. You just still have to pay the hard money loan while it's being rented. So, typically, like I said, the hard money loan is typically a high payment, and it's interest only. So, but you can still have it rented, like maybe the 4th month you can have it rented. That way, the rent payment will probably just be covering the interest payment, so you won't be making any money, but you won't be losing any money either while you're waiting for that 6 months to hit. And then once you hit that 6 months, you can refinance the property into a 30-year mortgage. And what you do when you refinance it is your hard money loan is not going to be more than 70% of what you expect the house to be once it is fully renovated. So your hard money is capped out at 70% of that. When you go to refinance it, you can refinance it at 70% and then just pay off the hard money loan, or some lenders, and a lot of lenders actually you'll be able to refinance it at 75%, which is an extra 5% that you can take out of the house. You're just taking out equity in the house, so it's not taxable income. So it's not free money, but it's you're taking out money out of the house. So you can actually, after everything is said and done, you can actually net money from purchasing the house. Cash it is, cash value. So if you refinance it at 75%, obviously you will have a higher payment when you refinance it at 75% instead of the 70%. But you're not talking that much of a higher payment, and then you're getting depends on the price of the house. You could be getting a few $1,000s out in equity, or you can be getting like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 out in equity. And obviously that's a big deal, and then you can use that when you go to your next house as part of either your reserve fund, or maybe you need a smaller hard money loan, or maybe there's other things, or maybe you need some of that just to survive, depending on what your situation is. But it gives you more options. So that is basically generally speaking how you will invest in real estate with no money. That's the way I've currently been doing it. It's worked out well for the 6 properties that I've bought. Not all of them have been using the hard money loan, but most of them have been. One of them I bought and lived in, and then so that's basically how you invest in real estate with no money. It's the easiest way, and like I said, this will be explained in another video of how you actually get a hard money loan. But they're not really that difficult. They're just based off of the ability of the house to actually be worth more once you're done all the work. So that's the they don't really do a big background check, like credit check. They do like a small credit check, but it's not like they dig in deep to it. They just want to make sure you're a good basically an investment. Because the hard money lenders are invested in you, and you're invested in the real estate. So as long as you do all your homework up front, you're paying that high interest rate, but as long as you do your homework up front and you run your numbers using that high interest rate, as long as the numbers still come out with you in the green, with some some buffer and unknown things coming up in the house as well, then you should be good. There's really not that much more to it. Investing in real estate is not a hard thing to do. It's just something that takes a lot of research and just understanding different ways to get into it. And this is obviously one of the ways to get into it without having a bunch of money. Obviously, you can go and buy as many houses as you want with a 20% down payment on a house, but if you want to buy one house, I mean, for a $100,000 house, it's going to cost you $20-some thousand just to buy it. Then you can rent. You might be able to rent it right away. You might have to do some work to it, but you're putting $20,000 out of pocket. If you do it this way, you can buy the house with very little out of pocket. I mean, you might need $500 just for the deposit on the contract to purchase the house, maybe $1,000. That's about it. After that, I mean, you can just be working off the hard money to do the renovations to the house, get it rented, refinance it, and repeat, doing it on the next house. It's a pretty simple concept. Not a lot of people know that much about it, or they're a little skeptical, like, oh, why have to pay this 12% interest rate on hard money? But like I said, if you do all your numbers and you run your numbers with that 12% interest rate, and they still come out in the green, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously, you can't buy every single house because if the 12% is going to, the difference between you losing money and making money, obviously, you're not going to lose money. But there are tons of properties out there that will still work with that 12% interest rate. And, I mean, you just got to find them. I mean, if you have an agent, they'll help you find them. I mean, if you're looking in either Delaware, Pennsylvania, or soon to be Maryland, I mean, by all means, reach out to me. I'll help you find them because I can't buy them all right now. Love to buy them all, but I can't. So that's about it. I mean, if you have any questions, just feel free to comment below. I'll answer them as best as I can. If there's any other things you're looking for in how to do real estate, by all means, comment that below as well. So if you made it this far in the video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe. That way you don't miss anything coming out about how to do real estate. So guys, thanks for watching and look forward to seeing you in the next one.